Welcome. Beer Guys Radio live, Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. We're back, baby.
Yes, we are.
So, Josh Hembree, Setting Sun Sake, we're going to talk American craft sake this week and maybe some non-craft sake. We've already been educated before we even went on the air.
Correct. Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. So, Josh, thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
Thanks. I'm doing great. I'm very caffeinated. Happy to be here.
It's the way to be, man. All of us are too. It's the point where you slide from caffeine to alcohol, that fine line there. So
noon.
That's it. We've got the break point.
Like a coffee boilermaker. Sake and coffee.
That's it, man. Sake bombs, right?
Yes, there you go, right?
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Well, those watching us on the live stream, if you have any questions for us or for Josh, ask us anything about beer if you feel like it. Sake is the hot topic this week, so ask us about sake, about Brian's beard, how our holidays were, how Brian's emotional health is, just whatever.
So terrible. I don't. I barely even am aware of my own emotions. I have no idea.
I'm just numb.
I just ask other people, how am I feeling today? I can't tell.
I've been locked in the house for 2 years,
right.
So
I have no idea. It's like I didn't have a beard when I went in there.
That's right.
Now I do.
See what's happened. Well, good stuff. Well, we're gonna get to recording our radio, and we'll be back to chat with everyone here in just a bit. Josh, you ready to record?
I'm here. I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. And this week, we're talking with Setting Sun Sake Brewing Company. I'm Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. So joining us today, we have Josh Hembree, the owner and brewmaster of Setting Sun Sake. We're going to talk about everything having to do with sake and American craft sake scene in general. We don't know a lot about sake. I definitely don't. So, Josh, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Not knowing a lot about sake is the perfect starting point to then knowing a little bit about sake. So
good.
There you go.
We're in the right place then, right?
Yeah.
Good. That's, not knowing anything about it is not going to keep us from sipping some sake
and from talking about it.
And we've already got some in our glasses. Josh, we've done one sake show before. One of our sponsors, Truck and Tap, shout out to Truck and Tap. They've been with us since the beginning, but they have a bar called Feast that's in an Asian food hall. And so they do sake there, and we joined them and kind of got a little primer, went through some of those. We drank a lot of sake, and in order to remember what we talked about there, I'd have to go back and listen to our show because there was sake bombs at the end of the evening.
Sake bombs. And it's been a little bit of time.
We had a good time. Yeah. We had squid on a stick.
That's right,
Josh. There was an entire squid flayed open and then battered and fried on 2 chopsticks. So it was just a party over there.
That sounds great, man. And some of craft beer is food pairings as well. So with sake, you just get more opportunities to have new experiences with the food pairings with the sake. So
right.
Hit it up. I love it.
Well, that's because really the only thing I ever know to pair sake with is sushi. That's the only time I see it is at my sushi bars, You go out there and do that.
Just right off the top, or before we jump in, I would love to take an opportunity to promote a collab beer we brewed.
Sure.
Three Punks Ales in Chula Vista.
Okay.
Kettle Sour IPA with fruited with mango and dry hopped with Mosaic Citra and cashmere, and we fermented it on sake yeast, and Kevin specifically, and it's out now and it's tasting great. So if you hear this, go to Three Punks.
That sounds awesome. Isn't there a big brewery in Chula Vista, like a major one? Because I feel like we've talked to someone in Chula Vista before.
Yeah.
Do we have a station in Chula Vista?
I don't know that we have a
I hate
station.
that. I shouldn't have said that live on the radio, and hopefully they don't hear it.
I think we have stations not too far away.
In the area.
Yeah, in the area. I don't know if Chula Vista specifically though.
Well, if you're in San Diego, you can get to Chula Vista, and that's a great opportunity to try great beer.
Cool.
Jumping back into sake, though, I just wanted to throw the shameless plug out there. Jumping back into sake, you guys talked about one of my chief concerns as to why I opened Setting Sun Sake in the beginning, or one of the chief struggles I see for sake is most people don't encounter sake except in the confines of Japanese food, and they only think about pairing it with Japanese food. Another one of the like tragedies is that a lot of your sushi restaurants aren't owned by Japanese people. They're operating a brilliant business model, and I'm not denigrating it, but they're not showcasing the best things from Japan because a California roll doesn't exist in Japan. Sake bombs don't exist.
Okay, right.
The idea of taking your product and dropping it into an industrial light lager to chug, or the decision point for sake is for $1.
Right.
These are the chief hurdles that people have when they're trying to kind of explore and go beyond what's readily available.
Right, because you know how you see in movies, people just walk into a bar and say, "Give me a beer," and that's it. Nothing
Just
other than "Give me a beer."
Yeah,
I think sake is actually like that for a lot of people right now. When you go in, it's like, hey, do you want to get some sake? And they're like, sure. And that's it. The conversation doesn't go any further. You get your little pitcher of sake to go with your California roll and your hot dog and whatever else is on the plate, and just go from there.
And your sauerkraut and everything else that just normally comes on that plate.
I spent about just under a decade in the craft beer industry working for breweries all over the world before I started Setting Sun Sake, and I really find that what's germane to craft is education. You have to tell someone why it's special for them to appreciate that it's special. And with sake, there's the language barrier is a huge one. Just understanding what you're drinking. You guys asked me at the top of the show or right before the show what to start with, and I kind of tricked you with starting with the Genshu. Genshu means undiluted or raw straight sake. So you're drinking probably something in the neighborhood of like 17 or 18%.
Oh, thanks, Josh. Start us off like that.
He got us nice and loose.
Yes.
You're correct. On the back of the bottle, it says 17%. It's
perfect.
Yeah.
and it's so that you get drunker faster and I become charming quicker.
We're good with that. Let's do it.
It's already working. You seem so charming right now.
And handsome too. Just as long as I repeat it, you repeat it, they might believe it.
Yes. The most charming and handsome. I'll use that as a tagline promoting the show.
Yeah.
The most charming and handsome guest we've ever had.
We'll need to get a picture of that calendar we've talked about beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm enjoying this, and I did.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you taste the alcohol in it. It does have the booze bite there to it, but again, as someone who knows nothing at all about sake, it's tasty. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's very enjoyable. It's missing. I've had sake before where I thought, I don't know about this. This is weird. This is very, I don't know how to say this in a weird way, but it's unoffensive, very pleasing, very
okay.
Yeah, I don't want to say smooth, but it's unoffensive, very easy drinking. It very delicate flavors, so it doesn't have like a weird, like strong riciness or something like that, which I think I might have gotten out of some inexpensive sake I've gotten randomly at Japanese restaurants over the years. So. And
my boy Jack Lean at Sake One will love your guys' review. That was from just knowing nothing about sake and having a candid response to it. I know he'll love that, and that's their premium line. So it's good. It's good that you're liking it.
I enjoy it. Yeah, like I said, I love something with a little boozy hit to it. Gives you a little warmth there, and I would agree, Brian. It's very pleasant.
Kind of subtle.
You know what? To say something with the big booze hit is smooth sounds contradictory, but I would say this is smooth.
Yeah, you're not getting a burn from it, which is nice.
The warmth.
Warm is definitely correct.
Well,
Josh,
I think a sake at 18 15% or at 16% drinks comparably to like a IPA at 8%. You know you're getting drunk, but it might go down really easy. A 12% IPA is usually where you're like, ooh, the alcohol in this is very apparent. And
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
there's reasons for that in the sake brewing method that, it's some of the things that I found magical about brewing sake.
Good stuff, man. We've got so much more to learn, Brian. Absolutely.
Well, we ought to get into the sakes of the week, Tim.
Brian, as always, we have a great list of sakes
That's
to drink
right.
this week. We've got great ones. I'm going to say the names of some of these, and Josh, feel free to chime in and correct me after I say each of these, because I know I'm going to be wrong here. But we have Kiko, Masamune, Junmai, Teru Sake.
Yeah.
Was okay. All right. We have Sake, Junmai Ginjo. Okay. We have Sake One Joy, which is the one we're drinking now, which is a Junmai Ginjo Ginshu.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one that we thought wine.
Yeah.
Which is Choya Umeshu.
Yeah.
So we got it.
It's got the little plums in the bottom of it too.
It does. And you know what? I want to thank the Nest in Kennesaw, Georgia for sponsoring our sake of the week, because you may not find a sake there, but you would find great beer and barbecue. So if you're in the area, go check them out. Smoked wings. We preach the smoked wings all the time. Can't say enough good about those. The burger and plenty of great beer. So definitely check them out. It would be a good time. Josh, we've got just a little time left here. You mentioned food pairing. For this sake that we're sipping right now, what would this pair with?
I'm going to blow your mind. I love to pair sake with cheese. You get yourself a aged Gouda or aged cheddar, something with those tyrosine crystals in it.
Mm-hmm.
Those become umami fireworks. And it'll make you seem like the smartest food pairing person in the world if you just pair a nice Junmai with any cheese.
I'm all about that.
That sounds fantastic.
Can't argue with that at all.
Just to throw onto that, sake, by virtue of its brewing method, has more amino acids in it than any other alcohol. So it has more opportunities to compare and contrast. While you guys are experiencing it as subtle at this moment, you have to think about it like an IPA or a sour. The first couple sips really is just getting your palate acclimated, and then it opens up beyond that.
Sounds beautiful to me, man.
Yeah.
You are listening to the Beer Guys Sake Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back right after this. Doom.
I like how he has us start off with the Black Tuesday of sake.
Yeah, here you go. You know what? This is what you want to start with.
That's right. This will be great.
The strong ones stand, the weak ones will fall.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
I kind of get the feeling, because this comes off so light, I would have had no idea it was as alcoholic as it is. I feel like I would be able to taste things after this, which is kind of cool for something that's 17%.
Right.
Yeah.
Stephen Pete checking in with us. Stephen, thank you so much for stopping in. Hope you had a great holiday.
He had sake in Nashville.
And sake. Yeah. You know what? Yes. Ben's Tune Up. I actually saw them when I was looking up sake information. I saw them mentioned there, and there's one in Nashville, and I'm probably going to repeat this on the radio as well, but Proper Sake Company in Nashville. So I think it'd be cool. Atlanta doesn't. We don't have sake in Atlanta yet. We need to correct.
Not a place that's dedicated to it, but Hopsticks. The place I got not the one we're drinking now, but the Kiku Masamune, the Taru one, the cedar barrel one. That I was introduced to it by them. They have a nice selection of.
But we don't have anyone here that brews.
Brewing? No. That
it's just surprising because we have a large and diverse Asian community.
We do,
in Atlanta. So
I don't know if we have quite the number of Japanese here. We've got some
Korean
other national.
Is big.
We got Korean,
big Korean, Chinese.
I think Korean, Chinese. I'm trying to think. I think we get Thai and Malaysian and Indonesian as well. We got a fair amount of those.
All now, because you just listed enough, but you have to get all of them.
Right. Yeah. check the list, Brian. Keep going.
We're
Keep
trying
going.
to collect them all. That sounds
Yeah.
so bad. Yeah, I don't know if we've got the Vietnamese or the Cambodians here. I
Okay.
don't recall seeing much in the way of that. I'm trying to
Well,
think.
talking more specifically about sake, there was about 7 of them in all of North America. That includes Canada and Mexico. When we first founded Setting Sun Sake back in 2014, and there's about 30 of them now. So if there's not one in Georgia, it's coming.
Yeah, I figured we have to get something here that someone will be.
Stephen Pete is
interesting.
asking a question that I was definitely going to
All
ask
right.
in the show.
All right, hold
Yeah.
on. Yeah, we may save this one for the show. We'll get it up. What is the range of ABV for sale? How much ABV can you sell? We're gonna act like he didn't typo and just answer it to
That's
that effect there.
Correct. I've had my my iTunes program algorithm going for years to get it right.
Yeah.
So the traditional range of sake is anywhere between like 15 and 16 for your common Japanese sake, and genshus will range between 18 and 20. Sake naturally ferments up to about 20 to 22%.
Okay.
Just by virtue of its fermentation, you get really high ABVs, though they add what they call a stabilizing addition of water at the end to blend it down to the drinking level. So common
All
is 16. High genshus come in at 18 to 20, and our American sake, we range from like 7 to 20.
7. Okay. Wow.
That was another question. See, I don't want to use up all the topics here, but I was going to talk
let's
about
not use them
that
all
as
up
well.
here because we're going to have to repeat ourselves a little bit for the radio show.
So we don't want to get too crazy, but we'll get that in there. Sure enough. All right. Shall we dive back into it?
Yeah, I think we can.
No headlines for you, Brian.
Yeah. Well,
is there anything you need to say?
No, not specifically. I think it'll still be mostly valid if we get to it next week. There's the Ball Corp thing.
Yep.
That they're
Pulling
delaying
back
that, and I think people probably are aware of the PAPS thing, and I will still talk about that next week.
Did you see the PBR Twitter debacle?
No.
I'm not sure that we can say this.
Hang on,
we can say it on.
I was prepared for this, so we can't say it. So they tweeted, and this was part of their Wet January ad campaign, and the tweet paraphrased goes like this: "Not drinking this January, try consuming hindquarters."
There you go. Only they used
eating and something else.
Yes.
Can I curse on this show?
You can. Yeah. You know what? Why don't you curse then? So you tell us, and we'll tell you if you get it right.
It's not, you're not drinking this January to eat ass.
That is exactly what they said.
Ding, 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 ding.
That is exactly what they said. And they had a follow-up question where someone said, PBR and eating ass, what is the difference? And PBR's response was, go ask your mom.
That's right.
So
And your dad.
And your dad.
And your
That's
dad.
right.
Yes. Yeah.
And then apparently a statement was released to Fox News that said, we apologize for our tweets. They were posted by an associate in
poor judgment. And they were
So,
going to handle the disciplinary action internally. So
yeah.
the entire campaign for Wet January, they deleted all of it. So it wasn't just that. They had other stuff. They deleted all of it.
When I went to Twitter, all of their tweets were gone. Like literally they may have just turned it off first. Maybe they turned it off to do damage control, but literally everything was gone.
They had a lot of likes and retweets of that.
Oh
apparently.
yeah, great. But you know what? And these days, it very easily could have been a marketing campaign. It could have been a marketing campaign, and it's going to be super effective because one person did reply and said, I'm literally the closest I've ever been to going out and actually buying PBR. So because it made me chuckle. I'm like, I've thought about as a tip to them buying a PBR and drinking it. So yeah, I drank it back in the day. There are worse things in the entire world. So I'm definitely going to do that versus the other one, but that's just my personal preference. Right. What trying times. Even PBR is losing their mind with all these quarantines and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
PBR.
Do we want to switch over to the next sake?
Sure, we can. You see, I have so many questions. I'm going to use them all up. So I'm just going to All right. Why don't I just go? How about if I go to this Junmai Teru that's next to me, Josh? Would that work? Okay.
Or do what? The cold one or the taru?
One of the great things about sake is the flavors are pronounced yet subtle, so you're not going to be beaten up by resinous, piney.
Okay. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, the resinous piney hops. Yeah,
Non-existent.
I like getting beaten up by resinous piney hops. Are you?
What is cheers in Japanese?
Kanpai.
Kanpai. That's
Kanpai,
right.
Yeah.
Kanpai.
Kanpai. So Stephen Pete says you guys are not getting too crazy. I'm like, well, no, Tim just did. So how is that?
Very pruny.
Pruny. Okay.
Super pruny.
All right.
Sweet, candy, alcohol, prunes.
Okay. How is
There's my review?
The actual plum in there?
Let's see. Let me eat the fruit too.
If I can get the cap off of this thing.
This is the wonderful behind the scenes you get when you watch the live stream.
That's
VGR.
right. How is there a pit in there?
There is. Mm-hmm.
Is it unripe? Because I kind of figured it might be like a green one. Too.
No, I get it's pruny. So, and it may
Okay.
just be from setting in the alcohol. Yeah, it's a plum in the alcohol there. So
I did
imagine
buy
that's
these a
just-
while back with the intent of
Yeah.
just getting nuts with them at some point. Oh, I didn't get that off. And I never got around to them. So saved it for this show, apparently, without realizing it. All right. Oh, is it a stopper? Okay. Oh, how about that? That's a very interesting little situation right there.
Josh, am I supposed to eat the plum?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
It's like,
Sure.
you've already done it. I'm like, I could tell you to go to the hospital, or just we could carry on with the show.
All right.
Don't
This
eat
should be good.
Don't eat the seed. And
Oh, it's too late. Too late. I just swallowed that.
Ate the seeds too. There we go.
It's like a shooter.
There you go.
All right.
So,
Oh, that's corked.
yeah,
That's neat. I like that bottle. I like the packaging on this.
that's exactly why my wife insists I bring it back with me.
Oh,
when
she
we're done
won.
with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Cool.
Ooh, the aroma on this one is considerably different than the other one.
I'm still drinking the big one. Which one? You need this? Okay. There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Josh, are you sipping sake right now?
I'm California sober right now, so I'm finishing
Okay.
coffee.
Okay. All right.
But trust me, I'm well versed with the flavors of sake, and I can just imagine what
Just speak there. Right. Okay.
We'll tell them that this was bottled. I was like, oh, I had that bottle. Oh, yeah. No, you'll like this about it.
All right. Here we go. I'm going to pour this.
Oh, I thought you were going with a coffee cup. I'm like, wow.
No.
that's a
Get a
deep pour.
pint. Venti sake.
Yeah.
No foam. All right. I'm socked up, Josh. It's
All
time
right.
to party, man. It's time to party.
Hit me with your questions. How can
Let's do it. All right, here we go. We're going to fire it back up.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Setting Sun Sake Brewing Company.
Josh, after the dirty trick you pulled on us, getting us to drink that high proof sake, we have opened another one here that is a Junmai Teru sake.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the Junmai Teru, is that a brand name or is that the style of this sake?
Those are great questions, man. And this is kind of one of those things where the ability to differentiate and kind of expand your knowledge on sake will help with some of this lingo or jargon, if you will. Junmai, Junmia, Junmai, MAI, thank you, Kim. Literally translates to pure rice. And so what it's telling you about that is that they haven't added alcohol to it. They haven't done any special ingredients, no fruit stored in the bottle kind of thing. And so Junmai means pure rice. It means it's the 4 simple ingredients for sake: rice, water, koji, and yeast. And then the word taru tells you that it was barrel aged.
Okay. Okay.
it's similar to like when you see whiskey barrel aged moniker on a beer, you go, oh, that one's barrel aged. So when you see Todder, you think, oh, that one's barrel aged.
Okay.
What are the common barrels that they would age a sake in, and have you aged sake in barrels?
Yeah. So commonly it's cedar, and that's how I kind of hit you with that earlier before the show. I was like, oh, it's probably this. Traditionally it's cedar. The masus, the wooden boxes that they serve sake in, are also cedar. And if I could draw a corollary to fruit on Belgian wits, or like the citrus on Mexican lagers, they're kind of affectations of obfuscating flaw, you know. So they're there to you smell the cedar rather than the sake. Is oftentimes why they'll barrel age it and kind of improve the flavor or improve the aroma or add to the aroma.
Okay.
So this one, my absolutely uneducated review of this, or tasting notes, I'm going to say, first, it's lighter than the first one we had. Light on the palate, banging pepper, just huge pepper on there. And then I get the like the woody, kind of a little astringency, a slight astringency of the wood, but I don't know how you don't get pepper on the nose and the palate in this one.
The pepper, I didn't. You know what? When you say that, I'm like, I get that, but I get kind of there's a softness to this, a difference in the body that I find pleasing.
When you say pepper, do you mean like phenolic spice, or are you talking about like jalapeno?
This is like a black pepper, like freshly ground black pepper is what I'm getting.
Really?
And yeah, I would pair this with a steak.
Okay.
A big, nice steak. I think this would go nicely with it.
I think it would perfectly with a steak.
With blue cheese, a steak with maybe some blue cheese compound butter on top. Get that funk, the earth, the beefiness. I think this would complement that nicely.
There is a certain little bit of funkiness to this that I get the pepper. It's now that I'm looking for it, it's there. I got the kind of a cedary woodiness. Yeah, for sure, and that interesting softness to it that I enjoy.
There's a nice complexity to this one, I think.
For sure.
That the first one, I don't know that I would say complex. It was pretty straightforward, but nice. This one, I think there's more layers to it.
Yeah.
There you go. Professional sake reviews by guys who know squat about
exactly.
sake.
This is the one sake I've had the most of because I've had this several times at the local the local Asian
Hopsticks.
Yeah, Hopsticks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Cool.
So they usually have that in stock.
So you asked if I'd ever barrel aged sake, and I've done extensive barrel aging here in the time that we've been open. We've released as a collaboration with McKellar. We got one of their I apologize, not McKellar. In a collaboration with Alesmith, we got one of their Speedway Stout.
Speedway. Okay.
Oh.
Yep.
And aged it in that and dosed it with coffee and chocolate and released it as our Ronin Black. Right now I've got port barrel aged sake and that we fruited with blood orange, cherry, and cranberry. And then I've got our Baru Berry as a Chardonnay barrel aged feral sake.
Feral sake. Count me in.
Blueberries, and it drinks like a Beaujolais. It's very, very wine, very tart and tannic.
Very nice.
You say feral. What do you mean by that? Kind of wild yeast involved in it? Okay.
That is what feral. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah.
It's making sure it wasn't a term that meant something else. And I mean, in the world of sake,
like the musician.
Pharrell. Yeah, exactly.
So.
Did you wear a big hat when you were making this?
Josh, is what you're telling us right now, would that be absolute blasphemy in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it would. And that kind of leads into another question I was going to have. And we're kind of jumping way ahead. You know what? I am going to back up a little bit if that's okay with you, Josh, because we want to kind of set our table here. You mentioned you were in craft beer for a long time. How'd you get into sake? What got you started brewing sake?
It was while I was working for Fuller's, and I was in Chiswick drinking Fuller's London Pride fresh. It wasn't a set and setting thing like a Corona on the beach in Mexico is going to be delicious. But this was more. This was a crystallizing moment in my career in beer where I realized that I'd never really liked Fuller's London Pride, and it had been recommended to me, and in taking my sister around and doing the BJCP exams, like it's a style, iconoclast style of beer that I just never liked, and through luck and circumstance, I got hired as the craft beer expert, and went out there and I was drinking it fresh, and I realized what's missing from the beer is nothing. It's absolutely perfect. It's one of the best beers on the planet. And what I was actually getting was something that it sat on a boat, or sat on a boat, sat on a dock, sat in a warehouse, sat on a shelf, and if I was lucky, was 6 months out from brew day, but more likely longer than that. I'd always enjoyed sake, and I thought to myself, craft beer is kind of spinning out of control with multiple breweries opening all the time. I knew I wanted to open my own craft brewery at some point, and I thought to myself, sake seemed like the coolest thing to do. So that's
Cool.
that, I was in craft beer, and I got to sake. I can expand on that, but
Now, were you a big sake consumer before you got into actually brewing and producing it?
no.
Okay.
I mean, I've always enjoyed it, and it's the same thing as most other Americans, is that you have sake when you're around a sushi spot or
Right.
eating ramen, and it wasn't really until I started brewing it myself that I started doing more and more food pairings. And to be honest, I had felt that I had achieved my goal in craft beer in the way that I was part of a gold medal award-winning team for a beer at GABF. I worked for amazing. I built my credentials working for Stone Brewing in Escondido, Polaner Hackershore in München, Fuller's in London. Came back. I worked for Belching Beaver, which is a great experimental brewery.
Sure. Yeah.
I believe I learned a lot from their sour program there.
You probably know our old buddy Mitch Steele then, huh? You just said, yeah.
Yeah, Mitch.
So
whether or not he acknowledges me,
okay.
We worked together at Stone.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. So
very likely.
Yeah, I love Mitch. He's great. I one of my kind of favorite moments was I was working at Black Market. That's the brewery I broke in at and started brewing. And I was still homebrewing, and I homebrewed Sublimely Self-Righteous and gave it to Mitch, and he was like, "Wow, this is a really fresh batch." And it's like, "I got you. It's homebrew."
It's homebrew.
Gotcha.
I was gonna
Take that.
ask you if you had tried homebrewing sake before you got into professionally brewing sake. Is that even doable reasonably for a homebrewer?
I think homebrewing sake is far more forgiving than homebrewing beer, because it is incredibly oxygen tolerant, as in
Okay.
destroyed by oxygen.
How about that?
See,
I had no idea. I really thought that would be a special process that would be very difficult for folks.
So when I was Googling, info for the show, I ran across a place that had a link to their homebrew sake kit, but I got a 404 error when I clicked the link. So it was out there. I got that actually from the Sake Brewers Association of North America.
Yeah,
They had a link, but it wasn't there anymore. But we could talk more about that in just a few minutes. You're listening to the Beer Guys radio show. We are talking American craft sake with Setting Sun Sake, and we'll be back right after this. Something like this little plum thing here. Is this a shooter, or is this meant to be you sip a little bit of it?
it's that's a personal serving size of that, and they have big of it, and I don't really drink it, man.
Okay. I didn't know if it was meant, like I've seen these things at liquor stores here, and they're called like party starters or something like that. And they're little cocktails and something like
I've seen little cocktails like that.
And they're just meant to be, you pop it open, you shoot it, have a couple of those to pregame before you go out. Like we used to do back in the day. You pregame as a 20-something.
That's right.
So it was cheaper for you to get lit when you got out to the actual club.
I realized that the cocktails I was drinking back in the day, that the prices haven't changed very much. So they were really expensive back in the day, because they were like $10, maybe $12. A lot of the same ones I see now, $10 or $12. The sizes might be a little smaller, but for being broke right out of college or right out of high school.
Tough, right?
Oh yeah, it was really tough. I mean, seriously, you really wanted to stretch your dollar that way. So
Okay, let's see the comment, and we'll what's the difference between sake brewing and beer brewing? Okay, you know what? Kim,
that is
thank you
definitely
for the question. We're gonna talk about that when we get back into the recording of the radio segment. That is something
definitely going to
we
be
will
asked.
definitely discuss there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. So cool. Actually, I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget it when we get back in here.
Well, I believe it's in the notes.
I don't think is it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because I was going to say she just posted the question, Brian. So I don't know how you got that typed in our typed notes there.
Well, it's because it was a question I had to ask.
Okay.
Let's see. I thought it was. Maybe I didn't put it in there. I thought for sure that it was.
All right. Da-da-da.
You know what? Maybe it didn't. Yeah. How about that?
Okay. We're going to come back in. We're going to talk more about. Thank you, Kim. We're going to discuss that. That's a great question. Steven?
Oh, yeah. We already
covered that. I think you were out of here when we covered that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
thought we did.
We covered that. Were you taking a break, Steve? Did you take a break there and miss that one about the ABV?
Yeah. I think we'll
probably recover the ABV thing
in the show, probably.
Because that's inquiring minds want to know.
Well, and that's a good distinction point between beer and sake, the differences between the two. Those differences in brewing and what the two things are.
So the game plan, Josh, when we come back in, we're going to talk about home brewing sake a little bit, and then we'll do the compare and contrast to beer brewing. Cool?
Yeah.
Look at that. We've got the next segment
we've
planned
got
out.
a plan.
That's
we have a plan.
Whew. Good stuff. All right. Let's do it. Oh, hold up. Do we need another sake? Is all we have left. Well, here, shoot your plum wine.
Oof.
Kind is to get that other bottle out of the fridge, sir.
Do you want some of the plum wine? I don't need to shoot the whole thing. You know
what? It's not.
You got to try
bad.
some of it.
I see what you're saying, Josh. That's not something that I'd be like, oh, I want this.
No,
so
it's a perfectly good.
Yeah.
Product, and I love what Choya does. They have a whole range of things, but like, it's not for me.
So that one we put.
Yes, Stephen, you are correct. I did say that, and I had forgotten, and we most definitely will do that. Yep.
Yes,
cool.
we got to do that.
All right,
hang on. All right,
go, Brian. Go. Hold on.
Yeah, get it for the gram.
We need this for the gram here.
Some live marketing.
Oh, jeez.
Brian, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm just drinking a little Choya Umishu. A little plum wine.
This is our sake show, behind the scenes at our sake show.
That's right.
And Brian's about to shoot some plum wine.
I am.
Thought it was sake.
I thought it was sake. This is my punishment.
What do you thought? Give us your review. Go.
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
It's very green plummy, like green fruit. That's what I taste.
See, I actually went
you a
180
prune
degrees from you. I thought preserved fruit. Prune.
But it starts off with a very green, and now it's settling into more pruny.
Going pruny on you
It changed. There is almost like a green, almost to the point of green olive at the start.
Okay.
It goes into prune. So this is interesting.
All right.
A lot more subtlety to this than probably anybody intended.
Let's see the packaging on that. What you got there? Good stuff. Cheers. All right. I regret that you don't have some of these to shoot with us, Josh, like 4 or 6 of these little plum winers there. So
I would love to,
yeah,
guys, and maybe next time we'll.
That's right. Next time.
I'll ship you out
next time.
Go through my lineup and
that would be fun, man. That would be fun. I'm interested in anything American craft that's done out there. I just think it's you mentioned cheese. We've got a couple of creameries here in Georgia that make some great stuff. I love getting the local stuff. We have places that do charcuterie and cured meats.
Yeah.
Plenty of good beer. It's just fun to get stuff, out of your backyard that's delicious.
Oh man.
Correct.
I worked with a creamery out of Utah called Beehive, and we did a Kasu wash rind cheese, and it came out amazing.
See? See, good. Now Smith does cheese now, don't they?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think- yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's right. He's
it.
got his own little cheese compound in
Does
the
got his
center of the
little cheese
brewery.
thing
I
going
think.
on now. Yes.
Oh,
Good
it's not.
stuff.
It's a fully functioning creamery. It's pretty impressive. You got to.
Is it? Okay. Okay.
I'll have to check it out.
They're walking distance for me, so I'm very lucky.
Add it to the list.
Good stuff, man. Yeah.
Gotta go to Texas. Gotta go to the Northeast.
Got to go to Texas. Got to go to the Northeast, and now we got to
just
go.
need
Yeah.
to buy an RV, a big one.
Let's
Yeah,
BGR on the road.
BGR on the road.
I would. I don't know if it's because I'm becoming an old man, but I really like the idea of this like travel, like get in it, just
No
drive someplace
roots,
and hook up.
just
Yeah,
go.
love that idea.
I mean,
Love
our
it.
day jobs, except for you, we can do them from anywhere.
Well,
So,
we would just have to drive the same routes that he drives to drop off
that's it. We'd
beer.
have to make
The
sure to get
travel
back
trailer.
around there. Yeah.
Just load it up on the thing. Yeah, drop off beer.
All
It's
right.
like, did you bring a motor home here? It's like, yes.
Well, Josh, we're planning the future here, man. We're getting it worked out. We're gonna get this poured, and we'll get back into it. We're opening up the wee sake.
We sake.
Dry, light, and fruity is what this one says.
This instructed us to chill it, which is something I'm not familiar with sake, but then again, I don't know.
kosher, gluten-free, and vegan friendly.
All right, there we go.
There you go. All
That
right.
seems like you don't need to say it with sake. How many animal products do
Come
you think
on,
is
you
gonna
know
go-
how
Yeah.
well. I don't do. I'm gonna
Say it
save
with
it for the show.
I'll save it for the show. All right.
Save it for the show. I was gonna ask about isinglass or something along those lines.
Oh, the swim
So,
bladders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, let's do this, man. We're gonna get back into this.
It's
So
also
much to talk about.
not just isinglass. Gelatin's also used.
What's
Oh,
that?
gelatin. Oh, yeah.
Gelatin,
That
right,
comes from
which- yes,
the bones
yeah.
and whatnot. Yeah.
See?
yeah.
All right, Nate, we're ready.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of News Talk 1590 AM and 97.9 FM in Ventura, California. Catch Beer Guys Radio on KVTA every Saturday at 12 a.m. Now let's get back to Setting Sun Sake Brewing Company.
Setting Sun Sake, Josh Hembree, thanks again for joining us, man. We are having a blast learning about sake here. We've been sampling quite a few sakes. I'm gonna do my review much quicker now because we got a lot to talk about. But we just opened up wee sake, and one of the first tastes I get in this one, I get licorice.
Licorice.
I get
Okay.
licorice. Yeah.
I would think
So,
I was just smelling that as you said that.
Yeah.
Or maybe
yeah.
it's the power of
So
suggestion.
It's
but
light.
I think you're right.
It's light, a little fruity with a little licorice hit there.
This has the lightest flavor of
It is.
any of them. It's
Yep.
compared to some of the other ones, the other two, I think it almost tastes watered down, but I wouldn't say that, but,
Right.
it does deliver some really nice, enjoyable light flavor. Yeah.
It is. It's tasty. I enjoy it. Josh, we wanted to talk to you a little bit more. Something we talked about just before we got into the break, homebrewing sake. So,
Yeah, you talked about a homebrewing website that didn't work, and one that I'd like
right.
to recommend is FH Steinbart. They're
FH Steinbart. Okay.
they're out of the Pacific Northwest, and they've been supplying sake homebrew kits for, I mean, more than a decade, as far as I know. And they source their koji from Sake One. So you'll
Okay.
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 professional grade koji in your homebrew kit. In previous interviews, I've thrown it out there that if you guys email me, Josh at Setting Sun Sake, I'll try to make my koji available to you if possible. Or if you have any sake homebrewing questions, Josh at settingsunsake.com. I believe that the reason why craft beer got so big in America is because of the homebrewing influence that really guided the professional brewing scene that we see now. And I would love to build the homebrew community of American craft sake.
It's interesting you bring that up, Josh, because when Brian and I started homebrewing many years ago, one of our favorite styles is Saison. And I really like New Holland's Monkey. Is it
Was it Monkey King or-
Monkey King?
yeah.
New Holland Monkey King. And I emailed the brewer there because I wanted to make the perfect recipe. And I said, I really like your your saison. Can you give me some tips here? And we emailed back three or four times and got that. And to make a long story short, we ended up developing this into what would have been our flagship homebrew, and probably won half a dozen medals with it or so.
Yeah.
Different variations. We did a peach variation. We did a feral variation. You know,
A feral one, indeed.
But it was really key to us, that brewer, to get us started, and other brewers were so kind to offer their info to help us progress and get better. So it's always cool.
I don't believe in magic, man. Like,
yeah.
We all have the same access to the exact same ingredients. We all have the same yeast banks. We all have the same water profiles to build from. I mean, even if we're not, regionally the same water, we all, need to change our water profile to match whatever style we're trying to relate. Because brewing is a lot like being a cover band. And, when you start to think that your cover band is so cool that you can't share the secrets, you forget that it's actually a cover band.
Right. Yes. I'm going to ask you a question here from one of our listeners, and Kim, forgive me if I get your last name wrong. Roxas, Roxas. Kim asked, because I've heard that sake is closest to beer, even though it's kind of considered a wine. So what are the main differences in sake and beer brewing?
Well, I'm going to throw down one of those Uno turnaround cards and ask you a question to preempt my answer. If you had to explain to somebody else, after this, you interviewed a guy who makes sake and they go, "Oh, that's cool. What's that?" You go, "Oh, well, sake is," and then go.
Sake is a
fermented
I'd
rice
probably
beverage.
Say rice wine.
Yeah.
I can say that. I'd probably say it's a fermented rice wine. And I probably would throw out the minuscule amount of info that I know that it's not brewed with yeast, but rather koji. That's so that would probably be my description. Wait till the end of the show and maybe I'll have a better one.
As I understand it, the koji also involves enzymatic breakdowns that help the fermentation process that's not available in the current yeast. But I'm not 100% sure of my understanding of koji, and I'm curious if there are multiple varieties of it, or it's not the same thing as the beer yeast, right?
So those are all great things, man. I love that we laid down a base point of knowledge that I can build from. One of the things you said is rice wine, and I think colloquially we all refer to sake as rice wine, but that's because of bureaucracy. Strong beers over a certain percentage get moniker of what their base is, and then the tag of wine. So it's either rye wine, barley wine, wheat wine, rice wine. In cider, you even find the exact same parallel where strong apple cider becomes apple wine. When we talk about what we call sake, it's brewed most similarly to beer, but it doesn't have hops in it, which is one of the things that ultimately separates it from beer. When you say wine, a lot of people think, oh, it's got fruit in it. And especially because sake is clear and it's served in little cups. There's the camera, little cups. You think, oh, it's a shot. But it's just drinking cultures are different around the world. In Korea, they have their beer drinking is small glasses that you drink fast and refill fast. And so the small glass or whatever is just an affectation of regionality.
Okay. So they're having 2-ounce shots, but they're having 20 of them.
It's like a Kolsch service, except with a rice beverage.
You know what? I support this. I love a Kolsch service, so no argument.
A sake service. That's what we need to do. We pioneer here in Atlanta. Sake service. Somebody get on that, please.
So the base question is, how is sake brewing different than beer? There's 4 simple ingredients in beer: malt, water, hops, and yeast. There's 4 simple ingredients in sake, and because sake is a nationalized thing in Japan, they have something akin to a Reinheitsgebot that requires a certain polishing on the rice and an exclusion of all other ingredients in order for us to call it sake. Other than that, it's called a plum wine or a citrus liquor. They have other euphemistic terms that segregate it from sake. But for it to be called sake, the rice has to be polished to 70% semi-buai, or a polishing rate of 70% remaining, 30% removed.
What is polishing?
Yeah, what is that?
So after growing and before brewing.
Okay.
Here in California by the Sun Valley Rice Growing Collective, and they I have access to many different varietals of rice, although I specialize or I focus on Calrose rice. Calrose rice is a Japanese style of rice grown here in America, and it's the reason why it's called Calrose. It was designed to grow in this region. What you're looking for in a sake rice is the short rice. Long grain rice, the wild rice just wouldn't work because the outside of that rice has proteins and lipids that tend to lend to off flavors in sake production. So you polish away the rice, removing the bran, chaff, and endosperm of the rice kernel itself. All rice is brown rice. One love. I like throwing that out there. And
One love, man.
One love. But all rice is brown rice. It's the degree of polishing that removes the color, the bran and chaff, the husk outside of it. And the reason why they're polishing it down is to get at what's called the shimpaku, or the white heart is the translation of that, and that's the pure starch center. So since you've removed the endosperm as part of the bran and chaff on the outside of the rice kernel, you're removing its inherent or endogenous ability to convert itself. You're removing, just like with a malting grain, the malting process, it's been blasted away by the rice polisher. And so the rice is polished, sent to me. I gelatinize it to hydrolyze it or make the carbohydrate available to be enacted upon by the koji enzyme. So we've got rice, water, koji, and yeast. Our rice is polished. Koji is the Japanese word Koji for Aspergillus oryzae, which is the scientific or Latin term for rice mold. So I'm just going to call it koji because it's more romantic.
Right.
Yeah. Then mold. Yes. You need to let that rice mold. Yeah.
And water and yeast are the final ingredients of that four. There is actual yeast in sake. And if you were to think about sake yeast going through what the animals of Australia went through with a different selection pressure. So rather than looking for this phenol or that ester, it was top cropping or top foaming. It was non-foaming. They had other different pressures, but it's a Saccharomyces strain. It's just a different type of Saccharomyces.
Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So much going on there. Interesting. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are talking craft sake, all sake with Setting Sun Sake, and we'll be back in just a minute.
I can already tell we need like a mini series of sake video or sake shows.
Yes. See,
we're barely gotten past the
Steven's
what
got
is it?
Man.
Yeah.
We may have to have a second RV to tow behind us.
Oh yeah.
With the studio, the mobile studio there. So
one RV towing the other one.
Les, cheers. Thanks for checking in with us from Idaho. We appreciate it.
From Jerome, Idaho.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I've been to Idaho, but I haven't been to Jerome, Idaho.
I haven't been to Idaho. I've been
to Boise. I've been to Boise.
Been to like 42 states. Most of what I have not hit has been the Northwest, Northeast.
I got that covered for you.
In the Northwest, yeah.
The Northeast, I'm a little weak on that too, but the Northwest, I've got that pretty well covered. Yeah.
Washington, Oregon, Idaho. I think I've been to Montana, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming.
You know what? I think I have missed Montana, though. That was just far enough away that I missed it. A lot of time in Washington, a lot of time in Oregon, a little time in Idaho, and drove through some of the Southwest on the way over here. But yeah, I think we've covered all the.
I think we have. I think we drank all the ones we had there. Yeah,
we had our plum wine already. So,
what was your favorite?
I still think I like the one that original one, the Taru one, the cedar barrel one that you said was peppery. I'm a fan of that one.
I think I like the boozy one, the Ginshu.
The Ginshu. Oh, this one. This was good too. I'm not angry at this at all. The one out of Forest Grove, Oregon, which I like. When I saw that, I was looking at bottles trying to find anything made in America because that's very difficult to find on the shelves. I saw that was Forest Grove, and I lived in Forest Grove as a much younger man. I'm over here in Atlanta now, and I'm like, this is meant to be. I have to get this.
I guarantee you'll find more American-made sake than you're aware of. It's because they don't. They have kanji on the front, and you don't look where the brewed and bottled is. So, Gekikon, Shochikobai, Ozeki, Yageki are all Japanese-owned companies that operate here in America using rice, local everything. Their brewmasters are on rotation, so they're usually like 2 to 5.
Interesting. Okay.
They move them out here to brew for the expat community.
How about that? And the only reason I figured that out is I looked at this. I'm like, well, it's not kanji on the front of it. Now I was looking at the back of them to see if they were imported or where it said it was made. That one, that's why I knew this was from the U.S. Is I happened to look at the back of it and it did say, there's no import.
You know what? I think we may have a Speedway in the fridge.
A Speedway stout.
We could recreate their barrel age there
with a sake bomb, right?
Cuvée, yeah, a little Speedway stout.
Speedway stout and that Genshu Cuvée, and
see, we're good to go, man. We are.
He'll just throw down his headphones. Oh, you need to put some headphones on so you can throw them down and storm away. Yeah, when we do that.
Yeah.
Oh man, thinking about the optics here. That will play better over Facebook than it will over the radio, obviously. So,
well. Be loud about it when you rage quit so we can use it on the radio as well.
I'm very angry and I'm throwing my headphones down and leaving.
We've seen the marketing that PBR got off of their little rage there, so we're going to capitalize on that all we can.
If we can get some outrage going on.
I wish ABN Vev would call and make an offer to buy us right now, because that'd just be some great.
That's right.
We are not for sale. We are not for sale. We are not sellouts. However, if you'd like to make an offer, please visit the contact us form on beerguysradio.com.
Exactly.
As long as there are enough zeros on the end of it, the number of zeros that are enough are 3.
At least
we'll accept
3.
your offer.
On which side of the decimal?
On the decimal. If that's including the decimal. That's how bad we are here, man.
0.3.
$40.
30 cents. We've done you 30 cents.
And you even get the back of Nate's head. So
you
for advertising. We're sorry,
right.
Nate.
Hey,
you know what? We are representing a lot of different beverages here because Nate's wearing a golden kombucha shirt.
He is, yes.
So we've got kombucha, sake, beer. We've got plenty of whiskey over there.
Interesting fermentation going on, enzymatic activities, bacterial activities, and yeast activity.
This is fun stuff. Are we going into 4?
Yeah.
Man, Josh, sometimes these conversations get going so quick that we just don't realize how fast the time's flying by. So we have plenty more here to talk about, but is there anything that you would like to cover as we go into our last segment here?
I'm honestly just here to answer y'all's questions. I mean, I would love it if, Setting Sun Sake was prominently displayed, but I love
Sure enough, man. Yeah, let's talk about your sakes as we get into this.
Like, what's currently available? Yeah, some of the, because I know you do some really interesting sakes. Hey,
what's up, sake crew?
No, that's a brewmaster resident down here in San Diego.
Okay, over there getting some sake, huh?
IPAs and lagers, and I think he's here just to fill up.
Bug you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, understandable. Yep.
I'm ultimately here to answer your guys' questions. I mean, there's so much to unpack, man. It's like
that's what as we get into it, man. I could probably sit here with you half a day just talking and asking questions.
We seriously have, and we do our research. These are just like notes and questions we have. There are 2 pages of them that we haven't even really touched on yet, just so far, and we've already filled up, 3/4 of the show, and we haven't even got to that. So
we'll get it. All right.
Eventually we'll get to all.
I see your notes on rice polishing here, Brian.
Yes, indeed.
Genjo, Hanjozu, Junmai.
Yep. And that's stuff that I actually pulled that from the other episode we did about sake, because we did a lot of work for that one. Might as well reuse it.
Don't be telling on us that we're recycling questions.
Those are notes.
You shut your mouth, Brian.
Those are notes. Those are not questions. Those are for our reference. So I took notes so we had some idea of what we're talking about. Yeah.
Notes.
Yeah.
All right.
I like to prepare for these shows, Tim. This might surprise people.
All right, Josh, let's do this, man. Let's get in here, talk some more on Setting Sun.
the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Setting Sun Sake Brewing Company.
Josh, we've had a great time chatting with you here. It's amazing we're going to the last segment of the show because I feel like there's so much more we could cover here. I feel like we could have a really long conversation. I did want to ask you a couple questions about just kind of sake, and this comes from Stephen Pete, one of our listeners and local brewery owner here in Atlanta, Kettle Rock Brewing. But he asked a question we were also curious about: the ABV range. What is typical ABV for sake?
Cool. Well, I definitely want to finish up on the brewing of.
We still got more there. Okay, go
brewing.
right ahead. Sure.
We just went through the 4 ingredients being rice, water, koji, and yeast.
Okay.
If you like a Junmai sake, if you enjoy it, it's really because you're enjoying the relationship between the raw materials and 2 biological agents. So one of the things that makes sake different, sake is a complex fermentation as opposed to a simple fermentation like beer, wine, mead, cider. Simple not in that they're easy to do, but that they're linear. They have a starting sugar content being bricks or
OG, just gravity, the
Original gravity, yeah.
Just
Play-Doh, that sort of
Play-Doh,
thing. Yeah.
Play-Doh bricks, right?
original. And then you have your terminal, and your attenuation from there is usually indicative of your ability to execute that style of beer, right? Because it has to have a certain range of ABV, a certain amount of body and unfermentables involved in it. And you want it to dry out completely so you're delivering a stable product. With sake, there is little to no original gravity and theoretical terminals. So that means that, like, we have the ability to ferment naturally up to 18 and 19% without overstressing the yeast in the beginning, with it being super high gravity and collapsing the yeast under too much pressure, or just by virtue of its fermentation style, it's not producing stressed or rushed alcohols, which are those more fusel or long chain alcohols.
Right.
So sake is, because of the way it's brewed, it's slowly spoon-fed sugar and aerated. So some of the things that I think are magical about the sake fermentation process over beer brewing is the protracted days of production. So in beer, you can batch a beer in about 8 hours, and it takes about 2 weeks grain to glass for a simple beer. For sake, it's like 2 weeks of brewing with multiple brew days, 3 to 4 brew days, and then about 3 months grain to glass.
When you,
Oh, wow.
When
Okay.
you're actually doing the fermentation stage, is that, like, I know with wild beers, it's not as predictable. Like you can't say I expect terminal gravity by X date.
Yeah.
With sake, do you know, hey, when I start fermenting this, it should be done in 6 weeks, or do you just kind of listen to the sake?
I like to listen to the sake, but you're making it happen pretty much lockstep. So something that's really cool for homebrewers, something that's really cool for beer nerds, is the first couple stages of sake. So in the brewing, and I'll just talk about my brewing method and my recipe specifically rather than sake globally. But in my recipe, I start with, so there's 4 brew days. And the first one is the moto, or the mother batch, and it's the start. And it's the only time that we add yeast. But we're adding 10% of the total grist of grain. So 10% of all of my kojimai and kakimai, which are my koji rice and my brewing rice. And then 10% of the water. And so it starts out as a small batch. Wait about 4 days and we add 20%. So we're adding more rice, more koji, and more water. And then we wait another 2 days and we add 30%. And we're adding more rice, more koji, and more water. And what this is doing is it's any alcohol production during that time, it's lowering the amount of alcohol in total suspension or alcohol by volume, making it softer and easier for the yeast. It's adding more oxygen, maintaining an aerobic fermentation, and it's adding more enzyme and potential sugar. So it's slowly spoon-fed all the ingredients over a long process. It's a grain-on fermentation. So the koji interacts with the rice, slowly breaking it down or liquefying it, and slowly exposing more and more potential sugar to add into the sake batch. Over like the 3 to 4 week fermentation phase of grain-on solids, you'll see it kind of the rice will disintegrate in batch, and then you have to press it, separating the kasu, K-A-S-U, or the sake lees from the sake. It's similar to a carbonic maceration for winemaking. If anyone ever has made wines, you do the grape stem-on fermentation, and then you have to separate the wine from the grapes through pressing it. We do the same thing functionally with sake.
Interesting.
Everything that comes out at that point is sake. All sake is filtered, though a lot of people will refer to as nigori sake as unfiltered. It's just less filtered. They leave more of the sake lees in. At that point, one of the things that's cool with sake is, or unique to sake and different to beer, in beer you can never fuck up a pale ale recipe enough to get a Baltic porter. It can't happen.
Oh, right. Okay.
And you can't ruin an imperial stout and end up with a beer de Mars, right? It just functionally you can't do enough wrong because the recipes are so regionally specific. With sake, the recipe is kind of a meta recipe, and then the nuances are kind of done later, right? And so the more that the more you do to sake after the pressing point, the more specific you get. But if it's not been pasteurized, which I love to specialize in Nama sake, N-A-M-A, Nama sake is unpasteurized sake. If you can find it, it's available in the States if you can find it. To me, it's my favorite style of sake because similarly to boiling honey, you volatilize off all the delicate compounds that you would like about it, though they oftentimes have to pasteurize it to get it here to the States. So you're paying more to get the Nama.
And then you have the thing like we were talking about with beer. Even at its quickest, you got to get it across the ocean and,
Right.
and all of this.
Yeah.
So that's something, man. Complex stuff.
Sake is Nama. You've got unfiltered sake is still filtered from the kasu, but the sake lees in it is nigori. At that point, it's junmai, right? Junmai means pure rice. There's nothing in it. After pressing, we let it go through a lagering phase to rest and kind of re-ferment and get stability so we can package and ship. At that point, we'll add hops or fruit purees or barrel age it to create any of our American sake traditions or productions. But we have a very traditional sake brewing method that is easily emulated in homebrew at scale.
Interesting.
I'm
stuff
impressed.
there.
They hop some sake. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I know when he said earlier he was talking about, the things he did. Blasphemous in Japan, but that's the way we roll here in America.
Exactly. But we can't get away from that ABV question. We got to get that answer.
ABV. Sake ABV. Where are we landing there?
So to answer that question, sake naturally ferments up to 18 to 20-ish%. And right after you press it, it's referred to as genshu or undiluted sake. And if you get a genshu, you're getting an undiluted sake, but those are uncommon or more special. And commonly sake is at the 15 to 16% range. And then for American sake, we get lower in ABV. We've got, our PhD or our pomegranate hibiscus and green tea infused.
Okay. Yeah.
8%.
Now that's what
our hoppy 12%.
Is there, like we talked about, and you cover this a little bit, when I drink sake, it's in smaller pours. So I thought that sake was meant to be drank in smaller pours. You said not so much, just a difference in the way people drink. But are there sakes? Because Americans, we like to have a 12 ounce, a 16 ounce.
Right.
Are there sakes that are brewed? Is your 8% a quote session sake or
Right.
something in those areas?
So we like to serve our sake in wine glasses, or we have really nice 7-ounce glasses. We do wine pour sizes because it's big alcohol, small pours. But generally, a wine glass will be your best thing to drink sake out of. It'll allow you to open it up and smell it and get all of the experience. The Choco and Tokuri is used for hot sake service. So while those tiny glasses have commonality in sake, it's for a specific type of service and not
Okay.
ubiquitous across all sake.
And that's something that we as Americans mess up, and we're using these little glasses, which are really meant for a specific type of service, correct?
Yeah. Well, oftentimes the hot sake is served that way. If you're serving sake in a masu, they'll put it in what looks like a shot glass commonly, and that the masu is just to collect as they pour all the way to the rim, and that's another serving tradition. So just eschew all that and drink it out of a wine glass, and you'll get just as good of an experience, if not a better one.
Now, what if it's October and I have a 1 liter mug? What sake should I drink in that?
Sake Toberfest.
How long do you want to be alive?
That's open for discussion.
Yes, I can.
We
roll
can
the
sit
dice.
Yeah, yeah.
It's our Ronin Clear if I'm going to promote Setting Sun Sake.
Yes, do it, man. Do it.
Icebreaker is going to be my favorite Genshu right now, but you won't last through that whole liter.
Okay, I'll do my best. So, Josh, you know what? We are out of time, man. We've got some great info here, but I want people to know if they want to know more about Setting Sun Sake, what's the best way for them to get that info?
Setting Sun Sake on our Instagram, Facebook, website. Hit me up, Josh at Setting Sun Sake, with any sake homebrew questions or sake questions in general. That way people can interact or get their answers, directly from me.
From the source, man.
Yeah, get it from the source.
Josh, thank you so much, man. We really had a great time chatting with you.
Cool. And just Junmai means pure rice. Hanjonzo means they added alcohol to it in the production process. If you just start there in your sake knowledge, you can then go, oh, I like this versus that. And
go from there, right? Good stuff. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Join us next week as we talk to Primitive Beer. And Brian, it's not just sake you can serve hot, because these guys serve hot beer.
Hot beers
as well.
Yeah.
For more craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers. There we go. Thanks, Josh. It's a good time.
Yeah.
We never have enough time.
Oh,
never have enough time there.
Especially with a topic so new to us like this.
Yeah,
so
we
much.
got so many questions.
Yeah, it's like it's going from enjoying all your pale ales, your porters, your IPAs, and then going, what's lambic? And going, hold on, there's a lot to unpack with just that. So
pack a lunch, pull up a chair.
Yeah. So everything just spontaneous, just across the board. Yeah.
But whether it's what do these words mean? These are all important things. And I like to look at it as I'm applying the skills that I've gotten over my career, and I'm pushing everything I know through the prism of sake. So, I love to blend the lines, and thanks for
fun, man. Absolutely, man. We've got we'll have to, like, a San Diego trip is definitely in my future. Because, well, that's where my day job's corporate office is. So I'll definitely be out there.
You'll definitely be out there.
Yeah. So do you do food at your brewery as well?
We don't have a kitchen yet, but we're going to be building one out. We have a sushi restaurant attached to us, and then we have pop-ups in addition to it. And I love doing Indian food and Filipino food, and not to step on the sushi restaurant's toes, and also just the diversity that you can enjoy sake with.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of pizza on your social media, and I'm like, is that a common thing for you guys to pair sake with pizza? I'm like, I wouldn't have guessed it, but I kind of not surprised really now that having had this.
Well, that's like we talked to Doke Beer not long ago out of NorCal area, Bay Area.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Korean inspired craft beer, but pairing it, across the way.
Yeah.
Kimchi sour.
So if you can pair like good cheddar with sake and have a good experience. I'm guessing that the pizza would make a lot of sense.
Man, he mentioned the cave age Gouda, and you used the term I didn't know, but those crystals that form in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gosh, that's so good, man. That's so good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Oh, you
we
don't know. Okay.
could go even this was great for laying down the foundation, but I can go into like the history of Setting Sun Sake and what it was like to
See?
open up an early American craft sake brewery. I'm stoked that there's about 30 of us now, so it's a growing thing. And
Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to Google information to ask about, and it said, I think the article I found was 2 years old. Was but it said just 5 short years ago there was only like 7 in the US, and we're up to like 20 now.
Yeah.
So, and you look at craft beer, I think back to even Georgia, looking at our craft beer scene. When we started our show in 2016, there was like 45 or 54 breweries in the whole state, and now we're 150, 170. I can't even remember anymore.
Something like that. Yeah.
But it's just the growth. So it's always cool to see new things grow. Do you distribute?
Yeah, we're direct to consumer in like 39 states.
Okay.
And, we were before COVID, we were shipping a lot, but man, COVID's really shit on us.
It's got everybody. Yeah, man. It's been brutal.
I wish the Georgia laws were not as stupid as they are about that. There's so many places I'd order stuff from because a lot of places will ship direct. I'm like, I'll just do that and get what you want that way. But unfortunately, Georgia does not allow that.
Yeah. And talking about the difference in like beer and wine laws, some of these we wouldn't have been able to get here if it was classified as a beer. We got a 14%
Oh,
cap,
yeah, the cap.
14% cap in Georgia for beer. So now I'm sitting here, I could just turned up that bottle of 18%, sake, and that would be fine, but I couldn't get a 19% beer.
They're worried about the children. Like if they thought this was a beer, they might turn this up. Yeah.
You guys have to try my Citra dry hop sake for my hoppy sake. It I like the West Coast trend is to make drier and drier IPAs, and our hoppy sake is the most hop, least malt flavor you can deliver.
Okay. See,
I'm on board with this. Yes, I want this.
Yeah, I was looking at your sakes on your website because one of my big questions is, do sake brewers play around the way beer brewers do? You've got your IPA, your blonde, your pale ales, your stouts, but are you milkshaking your sake?
Milkshake sake.
Is there a milkshake sake out there?
I am, but if you want the sake industry is doing, just check out my Instagram 6 months ago.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
I'm doing all
good stuff.
He's ahead of the game. Yes.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I love learning about this new stuff. Josh, thanks for sharing your time and your knowledge with us, man. We really had a good time, and it sounds like we may holler at you again. I'll definitely holler at you when we get over there, but sounds like there's still a lot more we could learn.
For sure. I love talking.
Good stuff, man.
Great to talk to. Thanks so much.
Josh. Appreciate it, man. Cheers.
We'll see you. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in with us, watching the show. We appreciate it. Always a good time chatting with folks, learning something new. Sipping sake this week, Brian.
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy. It's madness. So y'all have a good week. We're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, we
Nate,
should.
Is that cool with you? So we're gonna do it next week. We'll you know what? Bid. Do you want your logo on the back of Nate's head?
That's right. Yeah.
Cast bids. We will give Nate
cash money only.
3% of whatever we get here.
A full 3%?
Yeah, and
I thought we talked about 2.5%.
Well, no, let us know whether you want the actual back of his head or a hat, because the rates are going to be different there.
True, yes.
So let us know there. And if you want the actual back of the head, we'll give you 5%, Nate, instead of the 3% for the hat. So it's going to be good stuff.
Now, does branding versus tattoo, are they different percentages?
We'll work out the details.
Okay.
Just cast your bids now, and we'll get all the details worked out from there. So cheers, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week to talk about boiling beer.
All right.